Hi, I'm Barbara Call, Senior Director of Content Operations and Strategy at IDG, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's webcast, Considering Desktops as a Service with Citrix. I'm joined today by Paul Carley, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Citrix. Welcome, Paul, and tell us about your role at Citrix.
Hi, Barbara. Yeah, thanks. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager with our Desktops and Applications group here at Citrix. And I've been in the business here with Citrix for about 9 years and been in technology for over 25 years. So I've seen a lot of growth over this time.
Excellent. Okay. Well, welcome again. So I'd like to start by sharing some data from IDG. In July, we completed our newest CIO Pandemic Business Impact Survey, which gathered responses from 373 IT leaders. And they were asked, how can IT help their business persevere through the pandemic? And no surprise here, the number 2 top-rated answer was improving remote work experiences. Paul, I'm guessing you've seen the same thing, yes?
Oh yeah, you definitely are correct there. We are hearing from customers. I think we're entering that phase 2 of where we are with this COVID pandemic. Unfortunately, back in early part of 2020, we saw people, with the pandemic happening, that people were quick to move folks home so they could be safe and to remote locations and get them up and running so they could stay productive. While most customers were very successful in having that happen, especially through Citrix working with us directly. We're seeing customers now taking the next step, and that is asking themselves, so what's next? So now that we're in months and a significant time, we've advanced in that time frame, and now we're starting to look at what's going to happen when we want to start bringing employees back to work, or what's the next phase does that look like? And when we look at it, and we're talking to customers, we're seeing that a good portion of them are still planning to in the future continue to allow their employees to either part-time work or even full-time work right into the future from a remote location, whether that's home or wherever that remote instance is. So as we're looking at that, companies are asking themselves, how do I make sure that now that I'm reaching this next phase, how do we look at the at this remote services as we move forward? Where are we in security? Where are we in end user experience? How are we making sure that all the customer, the employee, at the end of the day, is got the right tools they need to get their job done and done successfully?
Okay, thanks, Paul. So let's talk about some of the challenges with remote workers. You and I are both remote workers, so some of these probably sound familiar.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure we've both been doing this now for a while, and we can probably appreciate some of the things that with this remote work, this current phase that we're in, and then into the future, we have to, as IT looks at it, we have to ask ourselves, what are these challenges that we're experiencing today, and how do we fix them? And what do those challenges exactly look like? Things like the fact that employees, especially because when we moved home quickly, employees were often using devices that they had in their own homes just because out of timing. And those can be different, right? We're looking at whether there's an Apple Mac, a Chromebook, that maybe somebody only has a tablet. Maybe they're using their company sent them a thin client. The question that IT challenges that IT has is, how do I make sure that I can deliver the apps and desktops that my employees need to get their work done? How do I make sure that they're not only getting what they need, but how do I make sure that those endpoints are secure? And how do I make sure that the software updates that are going into those devices has the latest and greatest software to make sure that they're protected, and my business is protected, of course. And then, of course, the second thing organizations are seeing today is they're seeing, the fact that they were able to make these remote connections, but they're seeing a lot of poor experiences, maybe delays, maybe poor internet connections, things like that. And they're asking themselves, how do I improve this employee experience? How do I ensure that my employees working from home have all the tools and have the great experience they need to get their job done? Because if they don't, it's only going to make production slow down, and it's going to make it more challenging. And then lastly, the third thing that companies are also looking at is, now what happens if that person loses their device? Perhaps it's stolen, perhaps it's broken. I'm sure every day people, accidentally spill a drink on their device, or Lord forbid, the employee is terminated. How do I make sure that the content that the information that they had on their device isn't lost, isn't ruined, isn't shared with somebody else that wasn't supposed to have it? So those are some definite things today that are on the minds of IT today that keep definitely keep them up at night and make them ask, how do I make this a better experience for ongoing into the future here as we move forward with remote access.
Okay, thanks, Paul. That's great. So as we move into this topic a little bit, I'd like you to start by defining desktop as a service for our audience, and then second, helping our audience understand how to determine if desktop as a service is right for their organization.
Yeah, great question, Barbara. Yeah, it's desktop as a service is basically a cloud computing offering. You have the ability to deliver a virtual application or desktop remotely to any device. So what happens is that it doesn't matter what type of device that employee has. They're able to get in and pull down the content and the information that they need that's securely virtualized and makes it easy for them to access it no matter where they are or what device they're on. Also, it's a very predictable model. It's a subscription model, and what that means is it's easy for them to pay as they go rather than pay for a bunch of equipment up front and having to make capital expenses. This is a subscription-based model, so that makes it very simple for them to go ahead and, as they utilize the service, they just pay for what they've used and they can continue on. So now that you have it considers it actually as an operational expense now. So you can actually, if you know what you're going to spend on a monthly basis, you can actually budget ahead of time and make sure that that you know what your costs are going to be in advance, and it makes it very easy and predictable to manage that service. The great thing also is that now you're able to scale up and down with that service. So if you have seasonal workers or you want to bring in some contractors to work, you can add desktops and applications and give them access to those temporary employees, and then they utilize the service when the project is over and they're no longer needing those desktops. You basically can spin them down and only pay for what you're using. So just for that brief moment in time or that whatever long time that project happens, now you're able to just pay for that and not have to add additional capital expenses to meet the needs of that project in that sense. And then lastly, what's also great is that when you're doing desktops as a service, the service provider, in this case Citrix, provides the software patches and updates to that virtual desktop automatically. So now that the IT person doesn't have to worry about going around and making sure that each device has the latest and greatest software, because that virtual desktop always has the latest and greatest and is protected as your data sits in the cloud and not on the device. So in case you get lost, stolen, the laptop or the desktop gets damaged, all that information is still stored safely in the cloud. So these are the things that customers are looking at today that have caused them to have interest in desktops as a service, and why it's something that people are quickly looking at today, especially in this environment, to be able to provide remote access to the work they need to get done.
Okay, great. That's a great introduction. So let's talk now a little bit about Citrix and your particular solution. What can you tell us?
Yeah, thanks. It's our latest solution that we offer is called Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Standard, and it basically uses a lot of what I mentioned before about what a desktops as a service offers. But what we like to talk about is the fact that it's something that is very simple to operate, very easy to implement and utilize, and it's also works in that pay-as-you-go fashion that you can You can either have it be billed monthly. You don't have to commit to a long term, but if you have the ability that you'd like to do it longer term, you make those choices. What's great about our service, as I mentioned earlier, is that it's turnkey. And I'll go into a few minutes here. I'll go into what it kind of looks like as far as how to easily operate the service. But we make it easy, simple, that if you need to bring up online a certain number of desktops or applications to your workforce in a matter of minutes and hours, you can have all those available, ready to go for your employees, rather than worry about being offline for a few days because your employees are forced home due to some type of business continuity issue, and they're not being productive at all, and your company's basically being shut down because you're not being able to allow your employees to get their work done. So we give them the capability that we offer this service to deliver a virtual apps or desktops, and that's either a Windows desktop or a Linux desktop, and we offer it via the Azure cloud. The IT department is able to manage that. They can spin up as many as they need them, and they're delivered to their employees via either an HTML browser, or they can get a small application that can be downloaded to their desktop, their laptop, or tablet, whatever device is their preference, and they're able to access that, and it's basically an app or a desktop that lives in the cloud. We also offer something that's unique called HDX. It's a high-definition experience that gives customers, no matter how strong or how well they have a connection to the internet, if they're having a poor experience at the moment, we have what we like to call our special sauce, which is our HDX high-definition experience that always gives them adjust according to their connections, and always make sure that they have what they need and be able to be productive, whether that's on a voice call, a video call, whether they're using, whether they're doing some kind of Microsoft application or other, they still are going to get that great experience as if they were sitting in front of a desktop at their office. So with that, we give them all those great services, that great experience. It gives them the security of being in the cloud because your desktop and your applications live in the cloud, so you're able to securely log in and out. Your data stays in there. It stays safe. And then, of course, as I mentioned, it's a single bill. It's pay as you go. The organization can either simply bring their own Azure subscription if they prefer, or they can simplify that by having Citrix take care of that on their behalf and just bill them for that service. So, long story short, it's a very simple application that allows them to deploy desktops with ease in minutes and gives them the ability that they can do it all within a single bill. So that's basically kind of a high level of what our services, this service, Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Standard, offers to customers today.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Paul. So I really like talking about use cases because it makes it real for the audience. So let's run through a few of these. Let's start with any device, anywhere, and then maybe pay as you go.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. It's the great thing about it, and I kind of mentioned it before, is that with having the ability to deliver an application or having your desktop live in the cloud makes it easy. So now I can move from device to device, not only from, as we look at the remote, as we're talking about today, having remote access, being able to work from home. But if I wanted to, say, work in a future instance, if I'm at my office and I'm using my virtual desktop on my company-owned device, and I'm in the, and then I realize it's time to go home, I can go ahead and close my application there on the at my office, and then as I get home, I can open it up on, say, a tablet at my house. Maybe I have an iPad, or maybe I have a nice Chromebook at home. I can open it up and I can continue the session right from then and there because I'm just logging into an active session that's living in the cloud. So now I have the ability to go anywhere, whether I'm traveling for business, whether I'm home, at work, wherever, I can continue the work and continually have an active session because it lives in the cloud. Also, one of the great use cases, as I also mentioned, is it's pay as you go. So now, if I need 100 employees that need to have access for a limited time or permanently, I can spin up 100 of those desktops. I can pay for, and they can utilize them. And then as I'm finished, I'm only paying for those 100. I'm not, and then in the future, maybe if I only need 50, I can spin up 50 and only pay for 50. I'm not constantly having to pay for, a larger amount that I may not be leveraging. So it gives you that ability that I can make it whatever I need it to be as far as how many I need as I need them. So, and the bottom line is I can pay for what I'm using. I'm not paying for what I don't need. So there's that. Having that subscription service makes it very important. Then talking about who are some obvious folks that can utilize this service. We like to think what we call seasonal workers, but that can be a number of different folks. A lot of businesses have seasonal, high seasons, so to speak, where we can consider tax season, right? Or if we're in retail, when we're talking about Christmas time, we need to hire some temporary workers in order to be able to meet the demand from customers. So we can go ahead and having this service, we give them the easy capability of being able to I can spin up those amount of desktops or access to those applications on whatever device I have or whatever device I choose to use, or maybe it's the contractor's own device. I can give him that device, give him access to only what he needs or only what I need him to have. And then once that season is over, I can spin it down. Same with contractors. Again, as I mentioned before, if I'm hiring for a project, I'm able to go ahead and give them access to whatever they need specifically. Then when the project is over, I can spin them down. I'm only paying because I'm paying as I go. I only paid for what I needed. And then thirdly, say if you have a vendor that you're working with on a regular basis, you need to give them access to maybe one specific application or not, but you don't need to give them all your services, or you need them to have access to all your services. Now you can deliver that via a virtual application or virtual desktop, that one simple application that they need in order to communicate with your business to get their work done. Makes it super simple that you don't have to dedicate extra devices, extra time to that individual. They can leverage whatever they're using at their vendor location to get their work done and be productive. And then lastly, business continuity. We're kind of talking about this as we go through this entire scenario here. When we talk about business continuity, we're not only talking about having to stay home because of a pandemic. That's obviously, hopefully, we really hope it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. But then when we look at other things moving forward, what about if a storm comes, maybe a hurricane, and you need your employees to be safely at home? You are able to spin up desktops and let your workers work safely from home during that time, and they can do their work. They can keep your company up and running and stay productive. And then once the storm clears or it's safe to come back to the office, they can come back in, and you can shut those desktops down or those applications down, and you only paid for that certain time that you use them. So very convenient for them to be able to use. And that's some of the things that we're seeing every day as customers are looking at desktops as a service and are looking at this as a solution for their business. They're seeing these things, and these things are what they feel are value add that desktops as a service can bring.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So let's bring this to life. Can you show our audience what this looks like on the management or the admin side of things?
Yeah, sure. So just to give you guys a brief look at what the management experience is, and when I said before that Citrix tried to, when we designed this application, we made it so it would be super simple for you to manage and be able to leverage. So if you're not someone with an IT background or are super technical, you still should be able to subscribe to this service and leverage it and be able to deliver it very quickly and make it simple for you to use, even for the basic services. So here's just an example of what the console for the management console would look like. And when you come to the front page, you can see here on the bottom left side, we have a quick create catalog. So if you were just starting out or you just needed to spin up some Windows 10 desktops perhaps, and you need them to, for a period of time, it simply makes it easy by selecting what type of desktop. We make it flexible so that if it's something like I just need a basic Windows desktop for a limited time, or on up to what we call a heavy desktop. So if you have some engineers maybe in your company that need a a full, a full robust desktop or application that needs to run, maybe it's a CAD or some type of service, we even offer you the ability to deliver that to an engineer level person, that it's a robust enough virtual desktop that they can get their work done. You can choose what kind of desktop. You can choose the region where you want it. We have several different regions throughout the world. If you prefer that, say you have somebody overseas that is a developer and you want them to have access, maybe you would prefer to have that desktop be in that region where that vendor is. So it makes it easier and gives them a better experience being closer to their location. So you can choose the region, choose the number of desktops you want, 1 to 1,000. It's your choice. And then you can actually name the catalog. So say maybe it's customer service department in an area of the country where you want to. You can name that catalog. In this instance we'll call it customer service, or in this case marketing. And you click quick create, and within a matter of time, it's a short period of time. We're talking minutes, maybe an hour or two, depending on the volume of desktops that you want to spin up for the first time. Once it's complete, but it's definitely not, days and weeks go by. Within that matter of minutes and hours, you're going to be able to have this set of catalogs, a set of desktops ready to go. And as you can see here, this is your main catalog, or your main console, where you would do your any edits, or you can do any customizations of those things. If it's something that you're not too comfortable with, that's something that you just want to spin up a regular desktop, or, just a Windows virtual desktop, say Windows 10. It's simple as now you have the desktop ready to go. You would go in and then you would click add users. You would, all they need is an email address. You'll assign their name, their email address, and you'll click invite users. The system will actually send an invite to that email address, giving them the ability to log into that desktop remotely. So it gives them that capability that as soon as they get that email received, they can get started working. They'll be able to go in, and we'll look at the user experience here momentarily, but it gives them the ability to quickly spin up, quickly go in, get access to that desktop, and get started working. So it's very simple to do, and it works very easily in reverse. We have, you can see there's a little trash can button there. So when the user's completed, and maybe it's a contractor and they're no longer needed, as far as the desktop, you can click the little trash can, and the desktop would be, or the person would be removed from your Active Directory, and that removes their access to the desktop. So very simple to do, very simple to manage, and again, for folks who aren't very technical sense, this is something that we kept in mind to make this something easy for them to deploy.
Okay, thanks for that overview. That's great. So you mentioned users. Let's talk a little bit about user experience.
Yeah, thanks. And the user experience is very simple to do. What we've done is we've created a workspace. Citrix is focused on a workspace experience, and rather than, in some instances, a customer would log in and just see a desktop. But what we try to do is we try to make it customizable so that the employee can get experience. A lot of times, some folks, some of your employees only need access to an empty desktop with simple things. Sometimes employees need access to additional applications, right? Whether that's internet, whether that's a finance, a Microsoft, a Google type of application, SaaS application, maybe it's a Linux application. What we can do is the system allows you to customize that so that your applications that user needs sit side by side right in this workspace experience. And it gives them the capability that they can just pull that up or they can pull up the entire desktop. We make it easy and flexible for them to choose the application and get right in and be productive right away. What's great about the application is you can access it from any HTML browser, or it's a small downloadable application that that works on any device. So maybe while I'm at work, I'm leveraging it from a desktop. When I get home, I prefer to use, my method is maybe my iPad. So I can download that application easily on my iPad. And when I get home, I just press the application, I log in, and now I continue the session I had going on at work. So it makes it very easy for the employee to function and get to their active session no matter where they are, because that's all in the cloud. And again, as I mentioned, it works on all the different devices that you can think of: Windows, Mac, Chromebook, and more. So we make it very flexible to be any device that you would have there.
All right. Thank you, Paul. That's great. So let's talk a little bit more about what makes Citrix's solution unique and what some of the benefits are for IT departments.
Yeah, thanks. And, just kind of thinking out loud, what makes this service, I'm sure you've heard of other desktops as a service opportunities and services that are out there. What makes Citrix unique? A lot has to do with what we like to do, our core four things that are on customers' minds that make it important to them. Number one, obviously, is security, and being, as I mentioned before, the content when you're using desktops as a service and it's a cloud-based service, your content is delivered and stored in the cloud, not from the device. So you're able to make sure that, if a device is accidentally stolen or broken or lost, all that content that was on that device is not lost. It's safely in the cloud. You can, if you're on a business trip perhaps and you accidentally leave your iPad in the car, you could literally go into a store, buy another one, download the Citrix application very quickly, and spin it up, and you're ready to go again, even though you're remote from your work. So it's very simple to, it keeps it very secure because that content is in the cloud. And again, we're leveraging the Microsoft Azure cloud for secure access. So you're getting the assurance of a Microsoft-based product that is very secure and is built on security there. Secondly, flexibility. We like to talk about the fact that customers can deploy apps and desktops as needed and shut them down when you don't. So it gives the IT administrator the ability to be flexible on how many they need, when they need it, and only pay for what they use, right? We have service offerings that are, again, month to month. So if you only need it during a certain time, you can utilize it over that certain busy season perhaps, and then pay for only what you use. So we give you that capability there. And then also from a flexibility that we can deliver any type of, basically any type of desktop, whether it's Windows 10, we can deliver Windows 7 if you have an older application that still needs a legacy application, we like to call it, needs to be supported. We can do that. If an engineer needs different applications and different types of desktops, we have the workspace experience to let it sit side by side. So it makes it very convenient, very flexible to whatever way you want to deliver it to your workers. We can do that. And then again, it is simple. We're using it as a turnkey service. It makes it easy, as you saw in the earlier demo. It's very simple to come in, choose the amount of desktops you need, assign them to your workers, and get them started and get them moving. We also offer some built-in reporting and management tools that are built into the service that make it easy for you to understand what applications are being used by your employees, who's using them, as far as making sure that if there's some that are not being used or there's any trouble with anything they're having, you're able to quickly determine reporting how much data you're using and things like that. So it's got some really good built-in reporting services that make it easy to understand what's being used and how to make sure that everything is staying productive. And then, of course, lastly, which is the most important thing, is user experience. Well, they're all very important, I should say that, but user experience is very important. If your employees have a bad experience, even though you're delivering them exactly, the basic service that they need, if your users don't have a good user experience, they're not going to be as productive. They're not going to be, it's going to reduce some morale there for your business to be able to keep running. So user experience, as we understand it, is very important. Having that HDX experience, no matter where they are, no matter how their internet experience, it's going to keep them having a great connection experience no matter what. And then, of course, the workspace experience gives them users instant access to the apps and desktops, only the apps and desktops they need. So it keeps them productive. They come right in, they click on what they need, and they're able to move forward. So these are the four pillars that we like to say that are very important to customers, and we believe that our desktops as a service solution offers these four and makes it simple for your customers.
Okay, this is great. Thank you, Paul. So let's wrap up here with a couple of key takeaways and then how folks can get started if they're interested.
Yeah, thanks, Barbara. Basically, some of the key things, again, and I kind of just talked about them, is simplicity, being able to deliver your apps and desktops in a simplified way, anywhere, on any device, flexible to deliver whatever you need, when you need it, giving you that great user experience that's going to make sure that your employees have great voice and video as well as any other productive applications to make sure that they're always on, always able to get the work done when they need it. And then, of course, lastly, but not the least, security. Not only being able to keep it secure, preventing against loss or theft, but also having your data securely stored in the cloud and not on the device, preventing any loss or theft of that device or that data, more importantly. So those are the key things that I like to say as key takeaways that to remember about what Desktops as a Service and Citrix can offer you there. And if you're interested in looking at and finding out more information about our service, our subscription service today, we try to make it very easy for you. If you go to citrix.com/DaaS, D-A-A-S, you can go ahead and find a lot of great information there. We have an interactive tour. We have some great download materials that can help you understand a little bit more and go into a little bit more detail on what I've talked about today. Even a white paper that kind of talks about benefits, and of course there's much, much more. We even offer some trials, things like that. So, we definitely invite you to come and check it out and learn more.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. That was great. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you again to my guest, Paul Carley, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Citrix. For additional information on this topic, please visit the resources section on your screen. And thanks for joining us. For IDG and Citrix, I'm Barbara Call.